Welcome to the Michele Roy Show.
Hello and welcome to another Michele Roy Show. Today I'm going to share a personal story that happened just last week. I went to the children's hospital with my son. I know it's a really personal story, but I know a lot of you might relate with it. Because how do you manage your own pain when you have to try to help somebody else, especially when it's your children? Well, I'll talk about all of that in this podcast. And also, if you have a chance, please do follow and subscribe to my podcast and also on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you. So let's get into the show. Sometimes we feel that we don't have enough strength to keep going. Yet somehow we find extra energy when we need to. And especially when it comes to those that we love and close to us. And if you put our children's, they're the first ones right there. This happened to me just last week. My son had to go to the hospital, to the children's hospital for a small procedure. And while I usually have my husband to depend on to drive us, I had to do it on myself, all alone this time. So I had to put this brave face and really ask God to give me the extra grace, not only for the drive, which is about 2 hours plus commute, right? Because you have to factor in Limerick to Dublin and traffic and all of that, into town to the children's hospital, not the easiest. So I had to really pace myself, be kind to myself before, and knowing that I had to drive him and be with him. So I had asked my friends in my small group in church for extra prayers for that day, preparing myself, because it's not easy. Not only do you have so many unknowns going to the hospital, which is another unknown, but is your child. And you want to make sure that they're being given the best care and that you're there for them. When he was first had this procedure, my husband was there with us. And this time was to remove this recorder. He had a Review Link, which is a little monitor, heart monitor, to capture any of his tachycardias that he has had problems with since he was a very young child. Anyhow, so here we are going into the hospital, and by the time I arrive in Dublin, my pain levels were quite high. And I was just really trying to keep myself in pace, right? And trying to be there for my son, making sure that his emotional needs were also met, but that my body was also cooperating. And I don't know if you have the same, like me, I don't know if you feel the same way as I feel, but when your pain levels are high, it's really hard to concentrate on anything, right? And the fatigue is kicked in, the pain in my face, my headaches becomes migraines. You feel the nauseousness, and at least that for me, if I get very, very sick, I can get very, very sick. My pain levels are high. So by the time we're in the hospital, and of course there's the waiting, the preparations, right? And I just had a point there that I had to actually lie down in my son's bed. I felt terrible at the same time. First I was lying down with him, but he's a big lad. So slowly but surely, he's just like, Mom, just have the bed. And he went and sat down on the seat. He was on his phone. He's chilling out. I always carry with me my eye mask, because sometimes when my pain are too high, I can't even look. So my eyes get very sensitive. Anyway, I put in my eye mask. I put a meditation to help me calm my body, bring my stress levels down, because all of this just increases, right, the pain. And here I am, if you can imagine this, lying there in a hospital bed, in a hospital room. This is a children's hospital in the bed. And I'm just listening to a meditation to calm down my pain. And as I'm doing, one of the doctors comes in. So I'm like half take my mask out, kind of looked at him. I felt so guilty at the same time for being in the bed thinking, what is the doctor thinking, right? He's just coming in here to check on my son, and here I am lying in his bed, barely can keep my eyes open. Lights are kind of dark in the room as well. And I just had to push that aside, get into that, okay, what's happening, the time, the procedure, and trying to help my son understand everything that was going on while I was nursing my own pain. And that's the struggle. I don't know if you ever faced that. But those of us that have lived with chronic pain, we have that extra dose of challenge, to overcome. And it is hard to have your space there. I needed to take that little extra rest. I needed to be able to use that space, even though it was my son, quote unquote. It was also something that I needed to do to help him. But that doesn't mean that I didn't go with the guilt that comes from using my son's bed and seeing the doctor, and then the doctor probably looked at me thinking, you look perfectly fine, why are you in his bed? Of course, he didn't say anything. We had a quick exchange, but those are the things that kept coming in my mind, and I had to push that aside and just like, I can't deal with it. Like, it's either that or I throw up, so I need to be here for my son. And then really depending on my friends in the small groups with prayer, that was something that really encouraged me because I knew I wasn't alone. A couple of times that I did get up and went to the bathroom, or I went to the little coffee room for the parents just to be on my own, because I was holding space for my son and for myself. Because he was also, even though he's very quiet about how he was feeling, there's also the apprehension of you going for a procedure, this is being removed, there's all those questions that you're asked. And then as a parent, I was holding that for him and on my own. It's like, can I continue being strong for him here while we're going through this? And thank God I was able to tap into that deep part of us that we have extra strength. This strength came because it was between all of this ups and down. And try to picture this, meditating in a hospital when you have children screaming, you have BP machines going off all the time, you have nurses coming in and out. It isn't the easiest. Yet I had to be able to shut all of those things out, to just get myself grounded, to feel myself, okay, I'm here for my son. I'm here for me, and it's okay that I'm taking extra rest. And the wait, from 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, my poor child was so hungry because he was fasting the whole time. But having to wait with him and even feeling bad that I had to go get some food because I was starving by then and I had to eat to ensure I didn't eat in front of him. But all those little things that in the back of your mind, you feel guilty, you feel frustrated, you feel like, oh my God, I'm a terrible mother. My poor son hasn't eaten and I'm going to have to eat. But then I had to really bring myself back saying, well, where's the mask? You have to put the mask first on yourself, right? They say that on the airplanes all the time. Why? Because we can't take care of others if we don't take care of ourselves. So by taking that time, walking away, even though I was close by, and letting the nurses know that whenever he's been called, please let me know, because that was the whole point. We just didn't know exactly what time his surgery was going to be in. Anyway, it all worked out, thank God, but it was a long wait, even for him, for me, managing the pain. And I'm wondering about you, my friend. You probably have a similar story that you had to face going through something with maybe a loved one or a family member, or if it's your children, I suppose we become like mama bears. I know I do. I'm very protective and I want what's best for my children. And it's hard sometimes that we can't necessarily participate the way we want to, but that's okay. Just the fact that we're showing up for them means the world. And I know for my son, it does mean a lot for him too. And then afterwards, I was able to walk with him in the theater. But even there, because of my trigeminal neuralgia, the theater is always colder. So I had to really mind my steps, how I was moving my face because of my pain levels. I had to mind the air that was coming in the room because I didn't want more triggers. And all I was trying to focus on as we were going down to the theater is to talk to him, So I was saying, okay, what's the food that you want to eat as soon as we're out of this place, trying to encourage him with that and talking about if he wanted a big pasta bowl or what was it, just to get his mind at ease, and myself at the same time feeling that I was connecting with my son. I was there for him as best as I could, even though I had to be aware of my own needs. And my needs are important as well. And it's just about holding space for all of us, but the different parts of me that need attending to. And so the day was very long. Thankfully, his procedure went well. We were able to come back home safely. And I was actually delighted to find out because unfortunately there was an accident later on the motorway, and I was so happy I didn't stop for longer coming out of Dublin, because it could have been us being stuck in traffic for the longest time. So all those little things, I think God works things just at his right timing for everything. So his procedure went very well. He's doing good. Stitches are getting healed, hopefully. But my takeaway for you, my friends, and why I'm sharing this story, is that a lot of times when we're going through chronic pain, we have to be strong for others. And sometimes we don't know where that's going to come from. But I believe deep down inside that God has given us extra grace for any and everything we have to face. So lean on to him, ask him for that extra help, and he will show up like he did for me again. I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. I made it. I was able to get home. And now I'm giving myself that extra grace of time because my body needs to recover. It was a 12-hour day. So it's not only the fatigue, the pain in your body, the pain in your face, all of those are the things that I have to work with. But it's also allowing my buffer to come back again, right? The extra little bit of energy. So it will take more rest, more minding, and being kind. I find that's one of the most important things, instead of me beating myself up. Oh, you're not up, or you're not this. No, my body needs rest. I pushed myself. I got through this because I needed to. My son needed me to be there, to be the mom, to be present, to be the parent, to be the driver, to be a little bit of everything. And I was able to get through that because of God's grace, because he's given me everything I need inside of me, and most of all, because I also leaned in others. I leaned in prayer. I asked my friends to support. And maybe you don't have a group like I do in my church, but maybe you have a good friend that you can talk with, just that you can share this, the things that you're going through. If you have to see another person that you love, or a loved one, or a child that you're taking to hospital, or any of those things, it's always important to have somebody that you can talk to so that they can share that load, and it won't be too heavy for you to carry, my friend. I understand how challenging it can be. And going back to what I was saying when I was lying down in that bed and the doctor came in, look, if you have to do that, do it. Do it because you need to be able to take care of yourself, just like I had to. I needed to take care of myself so I could show up for my son and navigate that big journey. But I'm glad to say that everything went well. That strength came, the extra dose that I needed. And my friends, just know that God is with you at all times. And whatever you need, he is going to help you, like he's done for me as well. So until next week, I would love to hear from you if you have any questions, and please let me know. May God bless and keep you safe. Bye for now.
This was the Michele Roy Show.